Over the past few years, not only NASA but many other countries and space agencies have contributed to the exploration of space and to better understand it. In this timeline, I will highlight all major events showing us which countries have launched space shuttles, probes, space vehicles, missions to repair the Hubble Space Telescope, and any other major events that I have found important in giving us a better understanding of what is outside our planet. This timeline goes over events that have taken place over 50 years ago. You can see missions from the Indian Space Research Organization, or also known as ISRO, the European Space Agency, also known as ESA, the China National Space Administration, also known as SNSA, the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, also known as JAXA, NASA, and the Russian Federal Space Agency, also known as RFSA. You will also see the contribution of other space agencies across the world that have not launched space shuttles or probes themselves, but have done their part to help us better understand space and the world outside of Earth. My name is Navroop Benapal, and I present to you Space Exploration. It all started in 1957, October 4th, when the USSR, also known as the Soviet Union, decided to launch the Sputnik 1, which was the first successful artificial satellite to be placed in Earth's orbit. Missions in 1950. In November 3rd, 1957, Sputnik 2 was the second successful artificial satellite to be placed in Earth's orbit, and it was the first biological spacecraft. It was launched with the first living passenger. The living passenger was a dog named Lackey. This also started the Cold War and the space race between the United States and Russia. Explorer 1 was the first successful USA spacecraft launched on February 1st, 1958. Explorer 1 carried instruments for the study of cosmic rays, micrometeors, and monitoring of the satellite's temperature. Pioneer 4 was launched on March 3, 1959, and it was a success and achieved its primary objective, returned radiation data, and provided a valuable tracking exercise. Explorer 6 was launched on August 7, 1959. Explorer 6 was an American satellite. It was designed to study trapped radiation of various energies, galactic cosmic rays, and flux of micrometeoroids. Luna 2 was launched on September 12, 1959. Luna 2 was launched by the Soviet Union and was the second spacecraft of the series, also the first spacecraft to land on the Moon. The mission confirmed that the Moon had no appreciable magnetic field and found no evidence of radiation belts on the Moon. Luna 3 was the third successful launch spacecraft to the Moon. It was a Soviet spacecraft launched in October 4, 1959, as part of the lunar program. The spacecraft gave us the first images of the lunar far side. Missions in 1960. Mercury Redstone 2 was a NASA suborbital mission carried the first humanoid, the chimpanzee, left Earth and returned safely. Vostok 1 was the first spaceflight of the Vostok program and the first manned spaceflight in history, the first USSR ship to carry a man and orbit around the Earth. The Vostok 1 was piloted by Yuri Gagarin, making him the first man in space. Mercury Redstone 3 was launched May 5, 1961, the first American ship to carry a human for a 15-minute suborbital flight, the objective of which was to put astronaut into orbit and the Earth and return him safely. Vostok 2 was a spacecraft launched by the USSR on August 8, 1961, carried cosmonaut German Titov into orbit for a full day on August 8, 1961, to study the effects of a more prolonged period of weightlessness on the human body. Mercury Atlas 7 was launched May 24, 1962. It was the fourth flight of Project Mercury, the first manned space program of the United States. It made 3 Earth orbits piloted by astronaut Scott Carpenter. Scott was the 6th human and the 4th American in space. Mariner 2 spacecraft was the second of the series spacecraft launched by the United States on August 27, 1962. The objective of the Mariner 2 mission was to fly by Venus and return data on the planet's atmosphere, magnetic field, charged particle environment, and mass. Mariner 4 was launched by the United States on November 28, 1964, and was the fourth of its series. It was used for planetary exploration and did a successful flyby of Mars, retrieving the first images of Mars' surface. Luna 9 was a very successful mission launched by the USSR on January 31st, 1996. It was the first spacecraft to make a soft landing on the Moon and actually transmit photographic data from the Moon's surface. Also, it proved that the lunar surface could not support the weight of a lander and that an object would not sink into a loose layer of dust as some models predicted. Luna 10 was launched by the Soviet Union on March 31st, 1966. It was the first spacecraft to orbit the moon and something other than the Earth. The primary objectives were to achieve the first lunar orbit, gain experience in orbital operations,